Alright, I'm back, you're back, and the spoon's back. Let's get started. On Twitter, LolContextChan covered a clip of Caster San on stream, who revealed the instructions he was given as part of the 2023 Asian Games caster training. These included, you cannot mention blood, no nicknames for champions, you have to say player's actual name, each kill equals a point, and you will be called to conversation if you mistakenly didn't do any of the above. This is pretty weird to me, considering within the game the announcer literally says first blood and pentakill, but as this is the Asian Games, they have to be respectful of the Eastern cultures that will predominantly be watching. I guess it kinda makes sense. The next part of the video involves leaks, so if you don't like that kind of thing, feel free to click onto the next section in the video timeline. As a lot of people have seen, the official splash art for the new vampire jungler Briar was leaked, which I have to say I think is pretty sick, and I like how she actually looks pretty monstery. Along with her splash, her abilities in Briar were also leaked. I first saw these on Big Bad Bear's channel. His links will be in the description below, as he's usually the first one to post leaks in the whole community. The bio reads, Briar, the restrained hunger. A failed experiment from the Black Rose. The pillory works to focus her mind. She's uncontrollable and only follows her hunger for knowledge and blood. Referenced in her bio is a pillory, which in older times was kind of like a stock which restrained the head and hands. The pillory it references is that large, sharp-looking object that goes around her head and hands in the splash art. As for her abilities, this is what we know so far. For her passive, Briar has no natural health regen, but her attacks apply stacking bleed. The bleed heals Briar for part of the damage, and the healing improves the lower she gets in health. There's a larger part of her passive that is uncertain right now, but it ties into her hungry or satiated gameplay. Her Q is a gap closer. Briar leaps into an enemy unit, stuns it, and breaks the enemy's armor. In my head, this kinda sounds like Warwick Q, but I need to see the actual animation, I could be wrong. Her W breaks the pillory and chases the nearest enemy, starting her quote blood frenzy. While active, Briar has extra move speed and attack speed. This also kinda sounds like Warwick W. Again, I'm not sure, but it'd be interesting if you lost control of Briar in the active of this ability in exchange for better stats. She probably just runs at the closest enemy faster and does more damage or something. The second part of the W ability says, Briar can recast W. Her next attack takes a chomp out of the enemy she hits, dealing extra damage based on missing health and healing Briar for a portion of the damage. And this is what the W ability icon looks like. The E reads, Briar refocuses and goes back to the pillory. She lets out a powerful scream that damages and slows enemies. While charging or casting E, she takes reduced damage and heals part of her max HP. Is this champion just Warwick? Anyway, the ult reads, Briar dashes into an enemy and fears it and other enemies around on contact, which kinda sounds like Vex ult. She goes into a superior blood frenzy and gets additional MR, armor, lifesteal, and movement speed. I don't really know what to think of this kit. It sounds just like Warwick, basically. I'll need to see the actual animations before I make a judgment. Also, we're on our last few thousand subscribers before 100k. I just want to say thank you so much, and if you consider subscribing, that would mean the absolute world to me. For the next story, Riot has been caught using AI in celebration of 10 years for Latin America. As if the actual video wasn't giveaway enough, Riot actually deleted the video off YouTube not even a day after publishing. In the video, there's some insanely obvious giveaways, which I'm showing in the background. Just look at this frame here, because what the actual f***? Bro's hands on the right are just melting together, and I actually feel bad for this girl on the left. She was probably really excited to have her footage taken by Riot, only to have the final product look like the 2010 Poppy splash art. If you want a complete breakdown of the video, Rysku made one, which will be linked in the description. Now for the main story of today, which is quite a sensitive subject. I first learned this a little while ago, but didn't want to say anything out of respect, because Neace is actually a good friend of mine. But as someone who's been through and come out of a serious relationship in the past, I can tell you it's one of the most challenging things a person can do. Following the announcement of his divorce with his wife Meredith, Neace will be taking a break from content creation from an unknown period of time. While his content is taking a break, meaning videos and streaming, Neace will still be coaching privately, and his Patreon will remain active, as these are things he can personally manage quite easily. I spoke to him personally on this, and he assured me that while their marriage has ended, it was on mutual grounds and they're both happy with the decision. It's easy to assume that someone did something wrong or someone cheated or something like that when a marriage ends, but sometimes people just grow apart, which is unfortunately what happened between them. Neace and I both ask that you respect their privacy in a challenging time, and when he's healed and regrounded, he'll let me know to tell you. I've linked Neace's video in the description below, and I actually really recommend watching it, because from the outside in, it just gives a good perspective on who Neace actually is as a person outside of his business, and I want to wish him the best of luck in his next chapter. In the next story, Kassadin was actually stealth buffed in patch 13.15, but it wasn't included in the patch notes. According to Evil Swarak on Reddit, Kassadin's ult got a 20% AP ratio increase, which is actually a pretty big buff, especially one that went undocumented. It was initially thought to be 13.16, but as user Kanan pointed out, his win rate increased at the same time as 13.15 going live, which would be indicative of the buff passing. In all ranks, in fact, it increased by roughly 1 to 2%, which is really big. Honestly, might be a ban priority following the stealth buff. This might definitely be a pick you'd want to consider if you're looking to climb through playing mid lane, and it'll be even easier if you have someone to help you get through his rubbish early game, which is where the sponsor of today's video, Tap-In, comes in. Basically, Tap-In is a find a duo service where you can pick a teammate from a corresponding rank rank and play with them. Not only does this include pros and high elo players, it also includes content creators and coaches as well. And with an average wait time of only 2 minutes, stellar reviews on Trustpilot, and a money-back guarantee, it might be just what you need to start seriously climbing. As most coaches can cost upwards of $50, Tap-In's prices are extremely cheap in comparison, and if you're still not sure, you can check out their website in the description below to do your own research. And the last bit of news today is kind of an Easter egg within the client. If you log onto your client right now, you'll see at the very far right side is a tab called Forbidden. This apparently is a Briar teaser, with the page mostly being uninteractive except for the door at the very end of the corridor being clickable. According to Big Bad Bear, in the next few days following, this tab will become more and more interactive, assumedly letting you pass through the door. This wasn't the only thing signifying the coming of Briar either. The League of Legends official Twitter account tweeted, "So hungry," an obvious play towards Briar having an insatiable hunger. Anyway, that's all for today's news. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!